Hello, Maffetone family and other extended family. Today we're going to be talking about the first 5 weeks of my 15-week aerobic base building period. I do feel like I need something a little more professional here besides this plant. We need like maybe a shoe wall would look really good here. Well, all right. We got Phil Maffetone's big book of endurance training and racing. I think that'll do it. Week one. Week one, I was at about 9:03, 9:05 pace, sometimes 9:11. I'd kind of gone from the nines. This was post a half marathon, the Woodlands half marathon. So, as you are probably familiar, once, after a race, your heart is fatigued, your body's fatigued, and your pace slows down generally. For reference, when I started the Maffetone method a year and a half ago, my pace was around 10:15-ish, and after 60 days of strict Maffetone MAF running, it was around a 9:10. So I have gotten it into the low eights and maybe once or twice just below eight, but I was not in that shape going into the Woodlands half marathon. So I knew it would take a little bit of time to see where I ended up. I did want to take a snapshot of where I was at the beginning of this 15-week block and where I will be at the very end of it. Week two looks a lot like week three, looks a lot like week four, actually, as far as the time and pace goes. Kind of settled into that 8:45, 8:50, 8:32, 8:57, 8:37. It was kind of all over the place. I'm not paying much attention to it. That's why the MAF test exists. I can just sort of set it and forget it. And the fifth week, which is a scale back week, that's usually when I do my MAF test. At least that was the plan for this aerobic base building training block. So the first week I ran 50 miles, and then the second week 55, then 60. The plan was 66 for the fourth one, but I only got around to running about 60. My time on the bike to supplement the time on foot, like the first week was 4+ hours on the bike. Second week was maybe close to 3, and then the third week and fourth week was like a half an hour. So I was getting generally pretty fatigued and spending more time on foot. So the first MAF test, or the second one, I guess, 5 weeks into it, was an 8:17. So I went from about a 9:03, 9:05 to an 8:17. Granted, I have been down there before, but it took about 30 days to get that back. 3. I don't know why I'm putting a 3 up. I'm just putting a 3 up. I did some speed work. Speed's a drug, and I'm a human. And it's literally a drug, illegally. I think illegally. It was a few miles here and there, just testing out kind of where I was, maybe a new shoe or something, but I think I did the math and it came out to like 96.4 instead of 80.20. 4. I made a mistake. So on the fifth week, I decided to run a half marathon with my boy Noel, which probably disqualifies the aerobic base building period from being an aerobic base building period and pushes me more into a race season. Forgive me, Dr. Phil Maffetone. But this is why it was a mistake. So there was 650 feet of elevation, and I was not planning on racing it. I was just planning on running it really hard. If there was a slight difference, I think. And so my overall time from the month prior was about an 11-second difference. So it was 11 seconds slower, but the first race was flat and fast, and this was in the Texas Hill Country. There was like 650 feet of elevation, and I was very sore afterwards. And I did some recovery miles, and we'll get into that later, but some recovery miles the next few days after the race. And my pace was back into the nines again. And I was like, oh, great. I just threw away the last 30 days, getting it from a 9:10 pace to like an 8:17. Garmin, the old trusty Garmin, who everybody ignores, suggested I wait for 4 days to recover. And on the fifth day, I went out for a run, and my pace on the first mile was about a 7:50 at MAF, and then low eights, and then it was, so I recovered much faster this time. But I wouldn't do it because it's pointless. I mean, the reason I did it, or told myself that, the story I told myself was that it would be a good litmus test, and I could see how far I've come from the last half marathon to this half marathon 30 days later. But that's silly. That's why the MAF test exists. You run an MAF test, then you do a check-in 5 weeks later or 4 weeks later, and you see where you are. You don't need a race to check your progress. It's just that I'm addicted to speed. That's why people don't like the Maffetone method. They don't want to stop running fast. 5. The biggest lesson I learned from the first 5 weeks was probably listen to my body. So in the 4th week, I did not make it to 66 miles. I only did 60. I woke up and my body was like, nope. And I said, okay, I respect you and I listen to you. So I went back to sleep. Now, some people will tell you that's not discipline. That's the opposite of discipline. That's undisciplined. Shame. Shame on you. Shame on your house, in your family, and on you. Because the story that they're telling themselves is that if you quit on one day, you're going to quit on the next day. And now you've started another habit, a bad habit of quitting. And you're going to quit in a race because you quit on one day because you were really tired. Get the fuck out of here, right? I mean, Seth James Demore talks about just turn the doorknob, just turn the doorknob, right? It would be harder for that motherfucker to not turn the doorknob than it would be to turn the doorknob. Anyways, 6. I don't know why 6, but the baby just woke up, so we're gonna watch some Bubble Guppies, and we're gonna get to it on nap time. Sorry to go off on a tangent there. That was the first 5 weeks. I'll let you know how the next 5 went. I'm in week 10 right now, so I'll probably film it and have it for you by the end of the week or the start of the next week. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to not hit subscribe. Do not like it. Do not tell your friends about this channel. I think that's how it goes, right?